In the 1990s, the PlayStation crashed onto the gaming scene, taking the challenge head-on in a landscape dominated in the past by Nintendo and Sega. Not only did it manage to sell 100 million units in 12 years of production, it cemented itself in history for those who experienced it during its lifetime. Sega and Nintendo didn't quite do so well as many predicted back then. These days, the console and its games are under critical re-evaluation, and with interest in retro gaming peaking alongside the current cost of living problems, the prices of the device are not exactly cheap anymore. Some people want to experience PlayStation games, but not on the PlayStation itself. How is this possible? Simple. Enter the emulation scene, and my favourite emulator for the PlayStation by far is Duckstation. Duckstation not only can accurately emulate PlayStation graphics, it can improve them with perspective correction enhancements, increasing the internal resolution, overclocking the CPU for more frame rate performance, and much more. With this, I wanted to try out many games for comparison to see how real PlayStation graphics hold up against Duckstation when cranking all its features up to the maximum. I'm doing this just to see how these features change the graphics, special effects, and frame rate performance. For the PlayStation, I'm using the Sony official RGB SCART cable and connecting this device to the GBS-C at 1080p output. This is my go-to upscaler now, and I hope the footage will be worth seeing, especially since many of you recommended it to me. As for Duckstation, I enabled everything possible except the 16:9 widescreen hack or CRT filters, and I used the 1440p output since it gives a nice boost to PlayStation games in my opinion. Let's get testing. The results might surprise you. Why don't we start with a first-person shooter, Powerslave, also known as Exhumed in Power Regions. It was a great showpiece game for the Sega Saturn. I owned the PAL version on the Saturn, and I loved the game for being a Metroidvania-style experience and something a bit different for the genre. Labonte Software did a fantastic job getting the best out of the system. On Real PlayStation Hardware, the game looks pretty good with decent special effects and nice texture work. However, the texture warping is apparent all over the place as expected, dithering is strong, and the frame rate takes a beating. I'm sure the Sega Saturn version ran a bit smoother overall. A good game then, but one that could benefit with some improvements. What can Duckstation do? Have a look. You see quite a few changes between the two. The dithering is gone, the pixelated look is replaced with a smoother, less rough presentation, and the perspective correction settings managed to reduce the texture wobble. Very impressive. The biggest difference for me personally is the frame rate. Seeing the two side by side, the overclocking settings has made this title lock pretty much to 30 frames per second compared to the unsteady result on real hardware. Definitely a great result for Duckstation. Let's look at Colin McRae Rally 2. This is a hack that makes the dashcam camera clear instead of an opaque blue in the official version. While not as good looking as its PC counterpart, the PlayStation version holds up well and plays nicely too. The only disappointment is the widescreen support has been dropped from the original game. How does Duckstation fare? Incredible is the answer. The game doesn't look graphically like a PlayStation game anymore. All the enhancements have made it appear more akin to the PC version. Only the texture work on the cars and some of the environmental details gives the PS1 graphics away. Duckstation can, at times, transform games to the point where some individuals would believe this was playing on a newer platform or on the personal computer. Honestly, I would recommend playing this game using the enhancements. It's a job well done for Duckstation. Peak Performance is a lesser known racing game. You race around the streets, and while I raced nobody, I was able to drive freely in this small city. The Nissan Skyline lookalike vehicle was the most interesting to me. As I drove around, I could see texture warping everywhere and a frame rate stuck at around 15 to maybe 20 frames per second. It's not a bad looking game, but the gameplay is both too loose and too tight to be thoroughly enjoyable. I was hoping Duckstation could fix the graphics and especially the strange frame rate the game locks to. Sadly, while the graphics are dramatically improved, the odd frame rate remains. The emulator is overclocked to 150% and yet runs exactly the same as real hardware. Maybe a hack or a patch would allow the game to run at 60 frames per second. Even so, graphically, the two side by side show big changes and once again demonstrates Duckstation's power. How about Ace Combat 3? This is an English translation patch of the Japanese version. This is easily the best looking Ace Combat game on the PlayStation and full of graphical goodies such as high quality texture work, a fantastic sense of scale, great design in the planes and some interesting lighting for added depth. Most of you will say the only aspect to trouble the graphics is the dithering, but I never minded this effect. I quite like dithering. I guess I'm the only one who likes the dithered look from what the comments have told me. As much as I love PlayStation graphics, wait until you see what Duckstation can do. Wow! Utterly fantastic! Everything possible has seen a huge upgrade. The side-by-side illustrates this further. Texture clarity, lighting effects, no dithering and much less texture wobble. Get yourself strapped in and try taking to the skies in Duckstation if you want to experience Ace Combat 3 in a very different way. Bloody War 2 was a game I had in mind for testing. It uses the PlayStation's high-res 480i mode and has 16:9 widescreen support if you set it to wide 2. On real hardware, the effort pays off. This is a fantastic looking game with detailed character models, great animations and fast, frenetic gameplay. As a graphical showpiece, not many games on the platform get near this one. Of course, Duckstation can use the enhancement and when we do, the general graphics get a huge boost. It benefits because of the higher res graphics and the great 3D texture work by the developers. While upscaling graphics has its limits, what we see here is a best case scenario for emulation where the process actually produces a great result. Driver 2 also comes to my mind for one reason, the frame rate. You can see on real PlayStation hardware the game struggles to hit 30 frames per second and this is not ideal. You get the sense the developers pushed the hardware to breaking point in their quest to make Driver 2 bigger and better than the original. Luckily, Duckstation's overclocking feature helps keep the frame rate locked to 30 frames per second while offering other graphical improvements. You can see the frame rate improvements make the game run as smooth as butter. No more slowdowns, thank you. You can still enable overclocking even in software rendering mode if you want the game to look true to real PlayStation hardware. Spider-Man 2 also has some of the same problems as Driver 2. While not as ambitious graphically or in the gameplay design, the game still slows down a lot. It's not unplayable, and after 24 years of experiencing the title in this way, I'm just used to it. It's still fun to play, even if the frame rate isn't looking so hot right now. Duckstation transforms the experience once more. With a more smooth and stable frame rate, playing Spider-Man 2 this way is a nice upgrade and perhaps the best. The graphics again look smoother and clearer, but I argue the frame rate was all that was needed to be improved. Everything else is a bonus and up to you to decide whether to turn on Duckstation's other enhancements. One of my favourite racing games is Jarrett and Labonte Stock Car Racing. It's better known as TOCA, or as I call it, TOCA World Touring Cars in the Power regions. I love this title because it is just racing perfection. Fantastic handling, lots of cars, great graphics and attention to details, a nice widescreen mode, good sound, good music in the American version, and the best car damage model available for the PlayStation. Even the dashboard head camera is fantastic. The only downside for me is the frame rate. It tries to hit 30 frames per second. As you can see, it never really gets near that outside of driving on your own in a time trial session. Duckstation then storms in and gives me exactly the fix I want. Not only do we get a huge jump in graphical fidelity as we expect by now, the frame rate is glued pretty tight at 30 frames per second. This dramatically makes the game easier to play as the steering is more responsive and using the handbrake was much more useful, even if I crashed once or twice. I still love playing this impressive game on real PlayStation hardware, but I cannot deny that Duckstation is my go-to place when I truly want to immerse myself in this title. Here's the underrated Ghost in the Shell. I actually had the PAL version physically for a time back in 2023. It cost me £120. This is the NTSC version and it has, as you guessed, a widescreen mode. I love using this beetle-like robot and travelling all over the environment, destroying pretty much anything that tries to end my existence. Once again, the only significant problem is the frame rate, with it being jumpy during gameplay. I still enjoy playing the game in spite of this. Duckstation, as you were expecting, has the upper hand, especially in the frame rate department. It's hard to believe how much you can change thanks to the features provided by emulation in 2025. No matter how you choose to play this game, just do it. A title this good deserves more love. Yet another overlooked title is Dynasty Warriors for the PlayStation. Before it turned into a hack and slash affair, the first title was a more down-to-earth weapons-based fighting game in vein of games such as Soul Edge or Soul Blade in the Western markets. The biggest claim to fame for this game is the great graphics using the 480i high-res mode of the PlayStation and the 60 fields per second gameplay. Going to Duckstation then, we once again see a dramatic increase in graphical fidelity and clarity. I can see smaller details much easier now thanks to the 1440p output, and the characters don't clip in details as much as real hardware due to the perspective correction feature. I tested a lot of games folks, and rather than yap on and on and on, I'll let the rest of the gameplay footage play out so you can see how the games compare when using real PlayStation hardware against Duckstation. Also, listen to the sound of the two platforms. Is there a difference? Until then, enjoy and I will see you at the end.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Round two, fight! KO! You win! Round two, fight! What have I got? right into the left. Square right onto gravel. Caution ditch. 4 left. 3 right care bank. 4 left into 5 right. Caution ditch. 2 left tightens into 3 right. Low cut. Onto tarmac. 4 right into 3 left. 3 right into 5 left onto gravel. 4 right into the left. Over crest into 3 right.
俺が出てくるとはな。
参るぞ。よくもどうしよう。よくもどうしよう。
I hope the video was worth the wait. While I've tested Duckstation against real PlayStation hardware for the last 3 years now, I'm always impressed with how much the emulator changes the graphics, frame rate and loading times to enhance the experience for those wanting to improve their PlayStation sessions. Allow me to make one thing clear. Emulation for some people will not replace or be their first choice for playing PlayStation titles. I personally love playing on my real PlayStation hardware and will continue to do so while using emulation for other devices when away from my PlayStation. Thank you PlayStation Portable and Steam Deck. Others will simply want to play on a CRT TV, which is perfectly fine, and the nostalgia alone is worth experiencing for those people. No matter how you choose to play PlayStation games, there's many ways to do so and all options are valid. What do you folks think of Duckstation and its features against real PlayStation hardware? What impressed you the most and how would you personally play PlayStation titles? Tell me in the comments and I will see you soon.